out the mud. It feel different when you get it out the mud.
How you guys doing? Welcome back to Conversation Over Chess. Before I introduce the person that's coming to have a conversation with us today, I have a PSA. Before I introduce today's guest, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It also really helps this channel out, so please, please, please. And then also big shout out to those who already have. Please and thank you. Now, to the woman that's stopping by the podcast. This is a long one. I had to do my homework for this one. The woman stopping by to have a conversation with me today is a social and digital media consultant. She's a TV personality. She's the author of the book of Do It for the Gram, an Instagram engagement guide. She's a co-host. She's an influencer. She owns her own podcast and video show. She does it all. She's an HBCU graduate. Shout out to Oakwood.
Period.
You might have seen her covering various Netflix movie premieres or saw her on Like Mother, Like Daughter, which aired on Oprah Winfrey Network. If you didn't see her there, then I'm sure you've seen her on Fox 5's Good Day DC Celebrity Dish segment. Or if you've been living underneath a rock and haven't seen her there, then I'm sure you've heard of her. You might have heard her on various different radio stations across the country like WHUR's 96.3 FM in DC or 103.1 WEUP FM in Huntsville, Alabama, or 92.9 FM in Baltimore. But tonight, you'll be hearing and watching her here on Conversations Over Chess podcast. Hailing from Southeast DC, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Nora Blake Smith.
Thank you. Oh my goodness.
How are you doing today, young lady?
I'm doing well.
You doing all right?
Did your homework.
I studied.
Yes.
I studied. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy to be doing this with you. This is
I appreciate
my
it.
first, I feel like, well, no, I did a podcast with my cousins, but
Okay.
this is my first time as a guest on someone's podcast.
Well, I often always start out by saying thank you. Thank you for your time because I'm big on time and you'll never get this 45 minutes to an hour back. So I also always say thank you because it means a lot to be giving me your time and I'm sure we'll have fun on this episode.
I'm excited. Now listen, I am excited. The vibes are right. You came professional.
I appreciate that.
Like the setup, everything. It's amazing.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I'm going to go a lot of different places on the interview, but we have to first start off with, girl, you do a lot of things.
No, honestly, like when you were reading the intro, I had to be here. I was like, wow, because sometimes you don't really realize it.
Yes.
You just live life. You don't realize all you've done. So to actually hear someone else tell me what I've done, it's just like crazy.
Where does the work ethic come from then?
I would definitely have to credit my mom.
Okay. Shout out to the mom.
Shout out to my mom.
Yeah.
She has a really good work ethic. She's always been on her grind.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe my grandfather, he recently passed away. So
sorry to hear that.
Thank you. But it wasn't until he really passed away and we were looking back over his life that I realized how heavily I was influenced by him, because I've really always been this way even since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like my grandma will tell you, after school I used to come home, do my homework. Like no one had to tell me to do anything. Straight A's from elementary all the way up to college.
Okay.
Like, that's just what it was for me. So I kind of look at life like a school, and it's just something else that I have to ace.
Okay. You've excelled at a lot of different things, and I want to know, is there anything that I missed? Because you often do a lot of different things, and things might be overlooked. Is there anything that I left off on that introduction?
You didn't leave anything off. Like, in terms of all my accomplishments, you did all that. But even within that, how much of also I am just, like, so pro-family and, like, chilling, hanging out. Because hearing you speak, like, I did do a lot. And it's like, how does she do it? Whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
It's because of my family. It's because of the love that I have around me. So, no, you didn't leave anything out, but just adding it in there, like, I'm able to do what I do because of the people around me and who are really rooting for me and, being there for me, supporting me, because it's hard out here.
Definitely is.
And I'm not doing this by myself. Like,
not at all. I was going to say, it takes a village. I'm not
doing this by myself. Like, anything you see, it's not just me.
Yeah. Talk about the supporting cast, because I'm the youngest of 4. I lost my mom at the age of 13, right? And I understood how, looking back, I'm 28 years old, that village was so pivotal in my growth to be who I am today. All the lessons learned, all the tough love, all the butt whoopings and everything that came in between.
Yeah.
Shouts out to Auntie.
Yeah.
She was the only one that booked me.
Come on, it's always that one.
It's always the one. But speak to that. Like, how pivotal was them in your growth?
Yeah, very, very pivotal. I come from a very close-knit family, as I'm sure you could tell by just how we're just all together. We can talk, what you've even seen. But they are what has helped give me confidence. They support me when I'm down. I'm not a very emotional person all the time, but they understand me and they get me. I feel safe with them.
Definitely.
And it could be any one of them. My cousins are like my rocks. Like, they're my besties for real. Shout out to them. My mom is there for me. My boyfriend is there for me. There's so many people who just have my back. Yeah. And I think that has what's given me the confidence and the courage to just go out here and be who I am and go for this dream that I have.
And what is that dream?
The dream.
Now it's time to pay these bills.
This episode is brought to you by Legendary Apparel by Kimaj the Creator. Don't let the fly name or my fly fit fool you. Legendary Apparel is a one-stop shop for all streetwear and essentials. Outside of the items that I'm wearing, he also offers bags, sweatsuits, shoes, canvases. You name it, he has it. Also, you're in for a treat. If you use the promo code COCP, which stands for Conversations Over Chess Podcast, you'll get free shipping. I repeat, free shipping. Also, be sure to visit his website. Link in the description or up on the screen. Be sure to give him a follow at _Creator, Kreator. Forget staying thirsty, my friends. Stay legendary. Legendary Apparel, the presenting sponsor of Conversations Over Chess. Peace.
Now back to the podcast.
Sometimes I feel like the dream changes every day.
Which is okay.
Yeah. But I think the dream is more of a feeling that I'm going after, and I guess an overall impact that I want to have. So that's why, like, the dream, you know, it's elusive. It's like there's so many things that I do have going on that it's like sometimes I'm like, I'm just here. Whatever comes next, come next. One thing that I've always loved, though, is media. And so I do feel like that has been something that is what has gotten me even to this point. Yes. In my love for that. But the dream just keeps getting bigger and bigger. I think at the end of the day, though, what I do know is that I'm going to be a household name.
Definitely, for sure. That is for sure. That is for sure. And I feel like you already are, because I'm interviewing a celebrity in my mind. I'm like, dang, this is going to be my Drake interview. Little does she know. But you spoke on it just briefly a little bit, but I want to dive deeper into that because you are a black woman in media. And that in and of itself is an accomplishment, right? And there's women that came before you that opened those doors. So I wanted to know who inspired you to go into the media and then speak to the path of getting to that point. Because with this being an Each One Teach One, you're going to inspire a young black woman that's going to be watching this, right? So speak to who's been the inspiration, the path to get there, and then just let them know, like, hey, look, you need to watch out for these things right here.
Oh, that's a good question. Okay. Well, I think getting into media, that was something that I kind of came to like even realize, okay, this is what I want to do when I was in high school. Okay. I always loved to act, and so when I was in high school, I was on the drama team, I guess. Okay. And I loved it. I actually won Best Actress that year.
Talk your stuff. Talk your stuff.
I won Best Actress that year. I've always loved acting. I see acting in my future at some point in my life. But I think it was always going to be something that I dealt with. And what I loved about it wasn't just that I loved performing, but it was also the impact that we did have whenever we would do the plays. Yes. And so I think from that it was always, I want to have impact and I want to be able to do it to the masses. Mm-hmm. And so for me, that was, what can I do that can get there? And so media was just a very obvious answer for me.
Definitely.
And I always knew that I didn't want to do like politics. You know, especially being from DC, people would assume like, oh, you know, you want to get into politics, you want to be, and I'm like, no, I never really wanted to do that. Like, I'm very much, I just want to have fun. I want to do the entertainment. That has always been the vision.
I was going to say, politics is a dangerous game.
It's not anything, that is not even in my vibe to do. So I always knew I wanted it to be in the entertainment field. I think what would have inspired me, I used to watch E! News all the time. Okay. And it was Juliana Rancic. She was probably the first person who I actually saw that, oh, this could be a career of being a media personality, talking on a mic or in front of a camera. And so that kind of is what guided me. And so, you know, did my thing in school. I interned while I was at school for 103.1, which you mentioned was the R&B and hip hop station there. I did. And that was a dope experience. You know, I think being in college, my school was it's a small school, and it's an HBCU, but it's a Christian one, so it's small. And I'll say they're not, you know, everything that they do, even within media, is always around either the church, and I kind of just wanted to do something out there. And so when I interned there, it was different because it wasn't really a place that my school went. Definitely. For like, it's not their lane. They stayed in the biblical, more of that stuff. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, and I was just like, you know, but it was fun. But I was happy that I did it because I was like, I kind of have more of a vision for myself. Definitely. And so was happy I did that because now looking back, like all the little things that I've done have prepared me for this. And so it has evolved. I used to just think that I wanted to be the person on the red carpet who interviewed the celebrities. Yeah. And then as I started to get older, I'm like, no, I think I'm meant to be more than just somebody who is interviewing somebody on the red carpet. No, for sure. And it's so funny because we had briefly spoke off of camera about how I had messed up with a young lady. But funny enough, her aunt went to Oakwood. Really? And in the church that we went to, the pastor went to Oakwood. Wait a second. Yes. So I already coming in, once I saw Oakwood, I said, oh, that's crazy. This is crazy. This is a crazy connection right here. No way. We'll drop names and stuff off camera. But yeah, because you two are cursed. Because for anybody to know anything about Oakwood or have any sort of affiliation, like, we do probably have to know the same people because it's like it's such a small community. It is. It's so funny because I don't know if you often go back there, but her aunt, she goes there for the homecoming every year. Well, I was just there for homecoming. Oh Lord, if you know who this is gonna be crazy. It is. But anywho, shouts out to you, Auntie Lynn. I love you, miss you, girl. But yeah, LOL, that is hilarious. But no, that connection is. I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. It's just so funny. Wow. But not even that it's just an HBCU, but specifically Oakwood. I'm like, yo, this is wild. But you seen the young lady on E! News, that inspired you. You made yourself, you went to college, you worked hard in college, you got the internship. And one thing that I don't want to go over the audience head is how you had mentioned that it is mainly a Christian school. Mm-hmm. They focused on that industry, that specific lane. Mm-hmm. But you were woman enough and brave enough to say, I want to try something different. So take your pen pads out and take these notes down and say, hey, I want to bet on myself. And although the church and this, that, and the third is pivotal right here, I also think and believe in my own self and wanting to do something else. Yes, you put that into words, like how you just described it, like for people to know, like it's never, like obviously the whole picture makes sense when you just said it like that, but when you're in the moment, you don't always see the full picture. So even to that point, like in that time period, I didn't know what the end was going to be. And sometimes you don't know what the end is going to be. But it's like, if you feel something and if you feel called to do something, you have to do it and have that faith to know that it's gonna work out. Like that is so true, and that's something that I want to talk about a little bit as well. Is that what was the thought process? Was it prayer? Was it family? Was it somebody saying, "Hey, I did it this way"? Because one thing that I often say is that growing up, because I come from nothing, literally below the mud, I often say I wanted all the money in the world. And then once I got a little bit older, I was like, oh no, I want to give back to the world. And that's what my calling is now, is because that's what this podcast is about. To learn from myself, my mistakes, the things that I did right, but also my guests, the things that they did great and wonderful as well. So what was that in that moment that helped you to say, I am going to jump off the ledge and try something different in a different lane? I think... Number one, I think that because I did have such a strong support system, especially with my mom. I think that having that confidence to know that I'll always be okay, like if something were to happen, I would always be okay, gave me the confidence to go out and do it. And then in general, I feel like I've always kind of been a rebel.
Yeah.
I can think back to even high school. Like I didn't make it into National Honor Society because they said I was what was the word? Oh yeah. They said I was non-conforming.
Non-conforming.
Yeah.
As you can tell, she's holding a grudge for this, so.
I really am, in a way. Because they had me, because the first year I didn't make it, they had me do it again. Like, the next year I came to school, like, Blake, try it again. Still didn't get it for being non-conforming. Yeah. So, by my senior year, they were trying to get me to do it. I'm like, I'm not doing this no more.
Yeah, y'all know me.
No, like, clearly, like, I've tried for 2 years. I wasn't good enough for you then. I'm not going to be good enough for you now.
Yeah.
But
you had a point to prove is all I'm hearing.
I really did. Because that was, but you know, that's what it was. But now I look back, I'm like, well, it's the fact that I am non-conformative. And that is why I've gotten to where I've gotten right now.
And that's the thing that a lot of people in the audience have to understand is that so many times that you'll be doing something and people will say, no, you're this, you're this, you're that. And it's like, no, I am this. Right. And you're telling me that I'm not. And that can creep into the psyche. Yeah. That can creep into the subconscious.
Yeah, it can, especially when you're a teenager and in high school, you know. So that was something, but I'll say, like, never did I feel like I couldn't do what I wanted to do. That was never a thing.
Where does the confidence come from?
My mom.
Okay.
From when I was a kid, she used to sing me this song in the mirror. I literally can see it now. I would be in the mirror, she would be behind me, and she would go, who's the pretty girl in the mirror? And I would be like, Nora Blake is her name. And it was a cute little song, and it's just something that I never forgot. It's something that she has put in me. She has always encouraged me to go be who I am. If it was something, I dyed my hair different colors. Never did she tell me don't do that. She always let me be myself. Yeah. So I would definitely have to say, like, you got to let your kids be themselves, because that's how they're going to have the confidence to really be who they are without having those insecurities that a lot of people do have.
It's so funny because I tell people all the time, my birthday was March 8th. I turned 28. It wasn't until this year, 2024.
You're a Pisces.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't until this year that at the age of 28 that I had confidence in myself. A football player, the person who was the guy in school, the this, that, and the third that everybody externally saw. I never believed in myself. And it wasn't until my aunt continuously spoke life into me that I had to realize, like, I don't need to go get that PhD. Right. I'm got it up here. I got the bachelor's, I got my master's, I'm good. I don't need to prove anything to anybody else because I want to be called doctor. I had to have the confidence. I often tell people, look in the camera, have confidence, believe in yourself, because of this woman's mother speaking life into you. Speaking life into you, you went on to do great, wonderful things with that village.
And I think even as a black community, like, we have to remember that.
Yes.
Because
now it's time to pay these bills.
Think global, act local. The Wrld Izyorz offers the coolest men's fashion and accessories at 104 William Street in Newburgh, New York, my hometown. It's also available at thewrldizyorz.com. That is WRLDIZYORZ.com. Be sure to use the discount code COCP, which stands for Conversations Over Chess Podcast, to get 10% off. I repeat, 10% off all of your purchases. Again, Wrld Izyorz, WRLDIZYORZ.com. 10% discount code on the screen. Get you some.
Now back to the podcast.
We just can be so sometimes low vibrational, you know, and we don't realize how the things from the past will be carried on to the next generation, and
hurt people.
Yeah. And so at some point, it has to take a generation to just stop doing that.
Yes.
To try to better themselves so that we can have a more positive influence on the next generation, be more positive, less toxic. You know, it's a journey. And I do see how even as a community we are progressing, but I do think that it's something that we do have to do a better job of, because a lot of times we'll go, well, this is how it was when I was younger, so it's going to be like that for them. But no, it doesn't need to be that way.
And I often say it in every episode as well, is that I love my community. I love us, but sometimes I also hate us because we're taking our own legends away. We're doing X, Y, and Z. We're gunning down the Nipseys. We're doing all this. And it's just like, yo, if we just stop with the crabs in the barrel mentality and actually put forth and put the money and just like work and be there for each other, we could go so much farther. And it's the African proverb: if you want to go far, you got to go together. If you want to go fast, you got to go alone. And I'm trying to go far.
Yeah,
far and take as many people with me. Oh, you know how to do coloring? Come on.
It's about doing that.
Yes.
You said, taking other people with you, because it's like none of this is gonna be fun if I'm doing it by myself.
Exactly.
Like we all need to be lit around here. We all need to be popping. We all need to be helping each other. How we can help each other so we can all be lit together.
Exactly.
It's just like if people would get that, like.
And I don't understand why they don't. And it's just I pray every day that they can, because you can do so much things. And one thing that I'm a firm believer in is that I'm come from Newburgh, New York, is where I'm raised. I believe that everything that I need, whether it be an artist, whether it be a colorist, whether it be anything, I can reach back to them and get it. They might not be to the level of this professional that's out in Hollywood, but if you give them the opportunity, if they hone in on their skills, if they had practice, they could. So I'm all about, like, the ending of this podcast, the music that I add for the outro is one of my friends from the hometown. The person that does the voiceover, that says next time on Conversations Over Chess is my sister. Like, everything that I do is intentional about giving back.
The people around you who've been there and supported you. That's really what it's about.
It really is.
That is really what it's about.
It is. What advice would you give to a young lady that's jumping into the field? Because it's all great and wonderful, but there's also a business side of this. It could be fun in the beginning, but at the end of the day, you have to make a living. There's a corporate politics that come with this. So what advice would you give to a young black woman or man that's watching this, or anybody in general? It's not just limited to them.
Okay, yeah. I think the one piece of advice I would give is to not look at anyone else's journey. You know, there's some careers where there's a path to follow. You know, you do this, that's how you get to here. When it comes to something like media, or really just if you're a creative or entrepreneur in general, there is not going to be a set path. Yeah. And so understanding that you can't look at anybody else's lane because it's going to be like that for them, but there is not one way to get. It's a really tough thing to break into. And there's still so many doors that even I have to break into that I'm working for every day, and I get so many no's all the time. So, you know, don't get discouraged, though, because it does just take that one yes. Like, for me, even I think back, now being on Fox is a regular thing, and I love the opportunity. I'm grateful for it even to this day, because it's something that, like, I wanted for so long. I would literally be at my old job watching the television, seeing them, like, oh my gosh, like, just picturing myself on the station. I would send emails to the producers. I would hunt down their Instagrams, trying to DM them, sending them my reels, and for years, like, I would get little things here and there, but it would never be like an invitation to me come to the studio. Definitely. So, like, when I finally got that yes, it was different, because it really proved to me that persistence wins. Definitely. And that if you continue to do something and you keep going and you keep going and you remain positive, that those doors will open up for you. Me really understanding how the law of attraction works. Yes. I'm a big believer in that. And so even in raising my vibrations, understanding the power of my mind and having that positive expectation, that is when things have just started to, like, fall into my lap.
They often say if you don't believe in you, then nobody else will. Yeah, you have to. Yes. You have to believe that you are the best at all times. Absolutely. I don't care how delusional it is. I can lock up LeBron James. I'm a defensive player. I can lock him up. Exactly. I can lock you up, LeBron. Let you be known. But one thing that I don't want to go over the audience's head is that you said I was persistent. I was told no for how long? I want to know as for the duration between the first no you think to when you actually got your foot in the door.
6 years.
6 years. So I want that to just take your notepads out again, kids. 6 years. She was told no, and you were persistent. You honed in on the skills. You practiced your craft. You said, I'm going to be better. Maybe the lighting, maybe the camera, maybe the angles. 6 years she chased her dreams, and now you're on Fox 5. Here we are.
Oh, man. That's
Thank you,
crazy.
black woman. Thank you, black queen, for not stopping, because now you're opening the doors for other people.
Thank you.
So I have often said I have twin sisters. One sister who has twin daughters. So I have
Twins
black
running
women.
your family.
I sneeze on a woman, we might have twins.
Oh, yikes. Hey, ladies, be careful.
She said
Careful,
stranger danger.
unless you want to. Be careful.
But I appreciate any black woman that's furthering a black woman's path. And I appreciate you for doing that. But
you.
don't let that go over your head. 6 years you had to come out here and grind.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Speak to the grind. What were you doing on the in-between time?
Oh, my gosh. Well, working as a administrative assistant for a senior citizens home.
Okay.
Then I would be looking at all the events that were going on in the area. I would bring, it would be my dad, my friend, my cousin, somebody, my mom, somebody with me to cover the event so I could get some sort of content. I would do little things in my room. I would do just things on YouTube, ways that I could get some sort of media so that I can put together my reel, which is reel before the Instagram reel, which is a real professional term, which is just a compilation of your work. And I would put them together, and that is kind of how I would pitch myself. I would pitch myself through emails, through DMs. For years.
DM killer.
Yeah, DM killer. But that's even how I got my first booking, like for Fox. Okay. Believe it or not. Like, I was at work on my lunch break, and I was just feeling like, I'm just supposed to be doing more than this.
Yeah.
You know, like, matter of fact, I was substitute teaching. People don't even probably know that about me. That, like, I've done that too, because it's not anything that I put out there. But it's like, you do have to have another job, because it's like, it's not going to be paying big bucks initially. And I will say, as advice for any young woman going into it, you know, if you are not necessarily trying to be on daily news and you're trying to take more of a different route with it, you have to be ready to have a couple hustles going on. Okay. Because it's not always going to pay. You're not always, you know, especially if you don't have the audience yet. Yeah. You know, or the numbers to show, or you're just getting started. You might have to do some things for free. Actually, almost every piece of content that's on my reel right now has been something that I've done for free. Yeah. All of it. So I think that in doing that, I have been able to practice all of those 6 years of me grinding, of me doing things for free, has allowed me to have the content, has allowed me to have the practice. And so when I finally got that I was prepared. Yeah. And looking back, like, I'm glad I didn't have it then, because I don't think I would have been as good and as prepared as I am now. You know, I have a lot more confidence in what I do, how I come across, how I talk. And so I think even in that, I wouldn't have been prepared.
I often tell people, like, I just was talking with a friend of mine today, and I'm like, yo, bro, I appreciate every single loss that I've ever taken, because that lesson has made me who I am today.
It's crazy.
It's like, I look back, and when you're in it, it's just like it's the worst thing.
It's the worst.
But when you come out of it, oh, man, it's the greatest.
We got to remember, like, life will be a teacher. Yes. And life has taught us that even though X is not happening, that's okay. It's always for a reason. Exactly. And it's just like, we have to remember that, because it'll be so easy to get down. I've even had to remind myself of that this week. Like, just having breakdowns, crying, be like that on the phone, like, I don't know, like, what's going on? And then you have moments like this where I'm talking with you and I feel so fulfilled, and it's like, it's a remembrance of who I am. Yeah. It's like, in those moments, we have to remember that that's not coming from our higher selves. That is not who we are. Yes. You know? And so we have to let go of that fear. We have to let go of that doubt. We have to let go of that negative talk, because our words are powerful. The power of the mind is really not a joke. It's really not. It's literally, we create our own reality based of our thoughts. And so, like, people have to know, like, be careful what you think. Yes. Because it's like, you can bring those things into your life, and so you want to make sure that you're speaking positive and that you're thinking of the things that you want. And for me, that has what it's been. And that's just what having faith is.
Yes.
You know, having faith that things will work out.
I often tell people that everything I've ever prayed for, I was given. Mm-hmm. I prayed for the Tesla. I was given a 2004 Mitsubishi. I got that transportation. I wanted this apartment, this, that, and I wanted the nice high rise. I got an apartment. So, like, everything I've ever prayed for, God has given me. And it might not be that exact specific thing, but he gave me exactly what was needed.
Be what you need.
Exactly. The motto of Conversations Over Chess is that every loss is a lesson. So speak to a loss that you have taken and any lesson that you learn. If it can be anything, whether it be media, whether it be personal life, anything. Any loss that you've learned a lesson from.
I think that when I think back over my losses, even rejections, I'll say, because it's like the losses that I experience are more so like rejections. Like I'll get rejections, and that sucks.
Yeah. Nobody wants to be rejected.
Yeah,
that right now.
Just rejection, or just not even feeling like you're being seen too.
Yeah. What was the song that I had you play?
Oh,
the Coco Jones.
Oh yeah, I See You.
Yes.
Yeah. No, seriously. So it's like, and that again, to your point, it could be feeling like it could be in your personal life. It could be in your work life. So for me though, like, the losses sometimes I've lost friends, best friends actually. I've lost jobs. I mean, you know, I've been rejected of opportunities, things that I thought I was going to get, didn't get. And though, what I've learned from everything that I've lost is that it's always replaced with better.
Oh, yeah.
Always replaced with better. You always end up learning something. So I think, like, for me, that has been the theme of just now embracing the things that don't go my way or the things that might appear to be a loss. But for me, the biggest lesson is it's never really a loss. Like, I have been practicing just even detachment of things, you know, not being...
material things.
Yeah.
Okay.
But even people, too.
Now it's time to pay these bills.
This episode is brought to you by DJ DMC. For any parties, kickbacks, and weddings, DJ DMC has your back. You can find him on Instagram at DMCTheGoat, on Instagram at DMCTheGoat. Please be prepared to pay the cost as seen on my shirt. He also makes his clothing line, great premier brand, and be sure to reach out to his Instagram as well at Pay the Cost LLC on Instagram. That is Pay the Cost LLC on Instagram. Get your some.
Now back to the podcast.
Because you have, although you love people and you want to, you know, nobody is yours forever. Somebody is going to leave eventually, whether it's natural through death, whether it's, and so in knowing that, understand that, like, you, though, are never going to leave yourself.
Yes.
So that when you can be with you, when you can be true to yourself, when you can have those real conversations with yourself, when you can enjoy things in the moment, when you can enjoy things in the now, and you make every day count. That's kind of been the lesson for me, because there's been things that I thought was going to go one way, it didn't go that way.
Oh, yeah.
So at this point, it's just like, all right, I'm living, and I'm not going to try to hold so tightly to things. I'm just going to let things flow. And I think that has been when I have felt the most fulfilled and see the most growth. When I just I have my tattoo right here is let go of resistance.
There you go.
So for me, I'm not holding on so tight anymore to what I think things should be like or how I expected things to be, and just allowing it to be.
Those, I think, two of the greatest lessons that I had to learn, just Google, YouTube, reading, everything, is that it's not until you take accountability for everything that happens to you, whether good or bad. If I'm late to work, it's not due to traffic. It could be 1,000 cars. It doesn't matter. I should have left earlier. One is taking accountability for everything, and then also is learning that you are not in control. What is going to be is already divinely written in what I believe in. So I just need to just walk the path.
Yeah. No, I feel you. I definitely feel you on, like, you just have to, well, you said a point, and I'm actually going, because this is what I've been feeling lately. Okay.
Talk to me. Let's hear it. Nobody's listening.
Everyone is listening. They're always listening, actually. But what I was going to say is, no. I actually have kind of now been in the belief that we are in control of the things that happen to us.
Why is that?
And for me, that has been through the reading that I have been doing lately.
Okay.
I think my mind has been expanded and really understanding the power of our mind through reading the Bible and through really, there's verses in the Bible that talk about having faith the size of a mustard seed.
I got a sermon on that a few weeks ago, and it literally brought me to tears because I'm like, yo, my faith isn't strong enough. Yeah. It made me question, like, yo, I ain't really believing in him. Because some of the things that I think that I'm in control of, so continue though.
No, and to your point, like, yes, when we have, I think for me, God has always, when God created us and we were made in his image, we have some of the same gifts and things that he's given us. And that's when he tells us to have faith. Yeah. That's because the things that we believe in, and like I said, I really do a lot of believe in the law of attraction. Yes. But understanding that God put those laws into place. Mm-hmm. And so if you look at the world from an energetic standpoint, because everything is energy, just like with magnets or what goes up must go down. There's just certain laws of gravity. There's just certain laws that the universe governs by. And I think where my mind has been able to expand is realizing that within those laws are the laws of attraction. And I think that within the Bible, why God tells us to expect the good things and to think of the good things and to not worry and to have peace is because he also knows the power that he's given us to be able to attract things to us. And so the law of attraction, whatever you're believing or thinking, is going to come to you whether you like it or not, because that's just how the law of attraction works. Yes. So for me, where I feel I have the control is that God has given me the power to create. He is a creator, and we are made in his image, so we create. That's all we ever do is create, And so I think having that mindset of knowing that you can create the life that you want has been what's given me a sense of control, because I can create the things that I want, and the only person that's blocking me 9 times out of 10 is myself. Yes. And it's the blocks that I have in my mind. And so when you can let go of those blocks and you can recognize who you are,
talk about it.
You can really be anything you want to be.
I appreciate the pushback, because that is true, and I should start shifting my mindset a little bit more towards that, because it took nothing for me to believe in myself to start this, so why couldn't it be for the next thing or the next venture or whatever business or whatever it may be? So I appreciate the pushback.
Of course.
I appreciate that.
It's a book. It's called The Mountain Is You, and that's what it talks about.
I'm going to read that.
Yeah, you got to, because it truly is. It's all just a quick switch of the mind. You just switch it real quick and adjust.
When did you read that book? At what point in your journey did you read that?
Honestly, the top of the year. I've only ever gotten into reading 2024. Okay. I've always said I'm smart, but I don't like to read. Yeah. So but thank God for Audible, which I listen to.
Shout out to Spark Notes.
So am I really reading? No, but I'm listening, and I feel as though I'm getting more of the information by listening. I feel like I'm an auditory learner, so it's fine. Okay. That's the best way for me to get the information.
So they need to have a visual book, because I'm a visual learner.
You're a visual learner?
I'm on YouTube. I'm a YouTube crackhead. I'll just admit that to the world, because I be on that thing for hours. If I could see it, I could go do it again. That's how I learn for sure.
Really?
Yeah, sadly.
Okay. Well, hey. You got to do what works for you. The point is, pick up the book if you could read it. Yeah. But that has changed my life.
I'm one of those, I'm a tenacious reader only if it's something that I want to really, really learn about. Accounting. I work in accounting and finance. So I was okay, I want to learn about money. Let me go read about it. Into it. So I'll dive into stuff like most things in life. When you're invested, then you're okay, you're gonna dive in.
And that's just what it is. For any book. And I would say start there, because for me, it was just, I wanted to be a better person. Yeah. I wanted to have more in my life. I wanted to be smarter. Like I said, I look at life like a school. And so in order to be the best student, you have to do the studying. So for me, that's studying how people work. I read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, I believe.
I believe so, yes.
Great book. Oh my goodness. And I, even in that season of me reading, like I would try the things out, like as I was out and about, and I would just see how the world was opening up for me. And I was like, oh my, it's like I'm becoming obsessed with it, because it's like, wow, we are in control.
Yes.
We're in control, because the more that we learn, the more that we educate ourselves, we have a one-up. We understand how to move through life a little bit better, because now I'm on game to how humans work. I'm on game to the psychology of people. I'm reading books by Abraham Hicks.
Okay.
How to, what is it called? Ask and It Is Given. That's what it's called. Ask and It Is Given by Abraham Hicks.
I'll be sure to drop the links to all these books down below for sure.
That's a good one too. That has helped me even with the law of attraction and understanding again the power of my mind, how to consciously be aware of my emotions, how to raise my emotions so that I can be in a positive mindset so that I can create. So like all of those ways in which just to open up my mind, I think that those are the type of books that I like to read, and that is what drives me.
See, the thing that's making me so like happy and put a smile on my face is because you are the true testament of how knowledge applied is that's one thing I always tell people. What is this quote? This quote is just slipping my mind. Knowledge is power. That's what it's called.
Yeah,
so I often tell people I don't like the quote knowledge is power, because knowledge applied is power.
Yes.
Too many people back home in my hometown are the smartest people that are not that are not doing anything.
I like that.
They know it all. I mean, like, these are brainiacs. Like the carburetor reaches the conglomerator point. I'm like, bro, how do you know this stuff? But they're not applying it. So you literally what you've just said is I've learned and I've applied it.
That is why I've been an A+ student my whole life. That's how I approach life.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do. Like when I learn, I apply, and that is
that's the difference though.
Yeah,
that is literally the difference between somebody making it and not.
And I don't want it to come off as like that is, but in me recognizing, like, I haven't even thought about myself enough to even think about, like, what is it that keeps me going. But it's the fact that, like, really to the advice piece, like you said, when you learn, you have to apply. And there's a lot of things that I still am not applying. I just do what I can every now and then.
Yeah.
And eventually it becomes a habit, which is another book that I'm reading right now called Atomic Habits.
Okay. Bookworm.
It is a good one, too.
Rubbing it in.
Just saying.
You said, when the last time I read a book?
Just a little bit.
But that's one thing that I don't want to go over the audience's head is that I promise you, learn it and apply it.
Yeah.
That's the only difference between you and Drake.
Yes.
That's the only difference between you and Denzel Washington. That's the only difference. Just literally take an inch of talent from them, but everything else is learn it.
What did they say?
And go apply it.
Hard work beats talent.
When talent fails to work hard.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's literally been the story of my life. I've never been the greatest, this, that, and the third. I just outworked those individuals. That's it.
High five on that.
There you go. You just got to outwork people. I promise you. Because one thing about me, I'm going to outwork you. Like that whole little quote with Will Smith that I'm going to die on the treadmill because I'm going to try to outwork you. That's literally me.
And that's what it is. Like literally, it's just outworking. Having that positive mindset, doing the work that it takes.
Yes.
And never stopping.
One thing I wanted to touch on too is that James Eidelberg, shout out to James, he's a mentor of mine. He used to say, or has a saying, "Don't be a compare Mary." You touched on that earlier on in the conversation about staying in your lane and not looking at anybody else. Do not compare to the other person because that's what's already written for them. That's what's already in their belief. I promise you, you run your race and you put those horse blinders on. Oh, man, you pick your head up. You be like, dang, this is where I'm at? This is a mansion? 15 bedrooms? 15 bathrooms? Like,
come on, in Miami, penthouse.
For real, Miami. I want Texas,
order the
though.
beach. Come on now. That's the vibe.
No, for real. I need to get down south ASAP. Yes. Lord, I know what you're doing to others. So have you always wanted to be in media, limelight, social media? Have you always wanted to do that? And if you weren't doing that, what would you be doing?
I have always wanted to do that.
Okay.
Like, that's one thing. I for sure have always wanted to do it.
So if you couldn't do that, what would you be doing?
I might have maybe gone into law, I think. I would have done really well in law. Or maybe I would have gone into, like, like astronomy or something like that.
All right.
Yeah.
So I know that you have this segmented on Fox 5, but if you could have your own 1 hour, just no restrictions, you're not worried about the man above you, you're in charge, what would your 1 hour segment include? If you could have your own just 1 hour segmented.
What you mean, like segment, like a show?
Meaning like if it's your show, you had to do or bring or report on something, like what would it be? What would it consist of? If you had no restrictions whatsoever, no censoring.
I mean, well, I guess the only thing that comes to my mind is the video show that I'm working on now.
Okay.
Because
shameless plug.
Yeah, shameless plug. Because, well, I've gotten now to the point where I'm like, I'm ready to have my own stuff. Like what you just said. Like, I've been doing so many things for other people. I've been, it's like I'm ready to run the show. So that is something that I am working on along with my team over at True Relations.
All right.
And they have been helping me, and it will be coming out this year, but later in the summer.
Okay. Keep an eye out for it, folks.
Yeah,
keep an eye out for it.
Oh my God, I'm so excited about it. So I think I think I'm doing it.
Okay.
Like I'm doing it. But aside from that, like my dream moment is to like.
Now it's time to pay these bills.
This episode is brought to you by 10 Toes Clothing Brand, the hottest streetwear from the DC area, based on the principle of community, perseverance, and integrity. From the community, for the community. Stand for something or you fall for anything. Shop online at 110toes.com. That is the number 1 TENTOES.com. And follow on Instagram at 110toes LLC. That is the number 1 TENTOES LLC. We are 10 Toes. Get you some.
Now back to the podcast.
Introduce somebody's name or like an award at an award show, like the Oscars or the Grammys. Something like that. Yeah. That is still a moment. That is still a goal that I'm reaching for. Like one day I'm going to be invited to announce something at a syndicated award show.
There you go.
Like that is what is going to happen. So like those are still goals that like I have for myself, to be booked more out in California, to be booked in these different places, to be called to go to these different places, to increase my network. Your network is your net worth.
There you go.
And I'm learning that a lot in this season, which is crazy because I've always been like, I can remember coming back home from college because I went to a boarding school for high school.
Same with me.
Oh, really?
I graduated from the New York Military Academy.
Wow.
I used to live on campus from 10th to 12th. A lot of people don't understand that. It changed my life forever.
Me too. It's like so you understand the life.
You live the same path. I promise you. Boarding school to HBCU. I promise you. It's crazy.
Wow, that is crazy because so you get it. It's like,
yes.
And so you're away. So even though your hometown is your hometown, but it's like
I've always been away.
Yeah.
I tell people that I've been away from Newburgh for like 10 plus years.
Yeah.
I lived on campus in high school. Then from there, I went to college in Kansas. Then I went from Kansas to Delaware. Then I started, and I'm a grown man now.
Yeah.
I've been away, but that's still my hometown.
Yeah, it's your hometown. And that's how I felt coming back home, leaving at 13, but now coming back home at 21.
Yeah.
So for me, that's when I really had to pray. That's when I prayed. I prayed the prayer of, like, I don't know really anybody here, like, honestly, because it's not like I kept in touch with the people from middle school.
Exactly.
So all my friends lived in different places.
Yeah. Was it an international, like global school, or was it more just U.S.? Because a lot of my kids.
It was right in Pennsylvania, Pond Forge Academy in Pennsylvania, not about an hour away from Philly. Okay. All black, co-ed. It was like an HBCU / high school edition.
Hey.
Because it was an all black co-ed school, but it was Christian. So of course, it was strict.
Yeah.
But it was a good experience. I mean, it's relative.
Yeah.
I won't speak too much on it. But what I will say is that the experience prepared me, I think, in the sense of having that sense of independence.
Yes.
And confidence to be on my own. But aside from that, dang, I've lost my train of thought.
It's so good. Independent. You was away at boarding school. It showed you some tough love. You say you ain't speaking on that. It was strict. But just having that independence at such a young age, where both of us went to boarding school, we can understand and realize, hey, look, being alone or being away at the younger age and then now growing up and going away to school, it prepares you a lot more differently. Because when you're doing that the high school level, and then when you get to the college level, you can have a lot more resiliency, more so to speak, on certain things that's nonsense and this, that, and the third. So that's something that I had to learn. It's just like, oh, I'm already prepared. I've been waking up. It's so funny. My boys and people get on me, but I've been waking up at 5 a.m. since I was in like high school. For real? Because it's a military school. You're a
5 a.m.er?
Yeah. So
I don't know how you do it.
It's because I've been doing it so long.
What did you have to like?
Well, because it was in high school, because it was a military high school, you had to wake up at 5:45 in order to do PT, physical training. Oh. And if you didn't, then you got in trouble. Okay. So they give you these things called tours. It's something that you don't want to do. It's just a waste of time. So I was doing that at 5:45, and then I went to college as a college athlete. So you're already up at the crack of dawn. So it's like it's already been a part of my life. That one. Yes, and then one thing about me, shout out to Uncle Charlie, he used to say, when the sun is up, you're supposed to be up. And that's that old school, you know. So it's just always been something.
That's wisdom.
It is, and that's just something that's always been stuck with me, that I always tell people jokingly, like, yo, when the sun is up, you got to be up. I'm confused.
Wisdom. That's definitely I agree wholeheartedly to it. Kudos to you. I'm trying to get there.
Yeah, it's not easy, but it's one of those, because I've been doing it such a long time, and then when other people like complain or be like, yeah, I can't, I'm like, dang, that's weird. I've been doing this for like it's nothing now. So I get it. I definitely understand it, but it is what it is. One thing I wanted to pivot is that across this interview you have mentioned your mom, lovely woman. She got to meet her. Shout out to you. But do you know what your first ever Instagram post is?
Yes.
What is it? Because I have it right here if you don't.
I think it might be of my grandfather.
Is that who that is in that photo?
Yes.
How inspirational has he been in your life?
It's just so crazy because he literally just passed away last week.
Yeah. Sorry to hear.
Thank you. And oh my gosh, this is just crazy.
It's all right. I cried before on the show as well. and I was under the impression, the reason why I asked that is because I was under the impression that was your father. I didn't know that was your grandfather.
Yeah.
So how pivotal was your grandfather in your life, knowing that he's passed within the past few weeks?
It's just so pivotal because even being in this house that we're filming in is something that he, bought when he was young. He came from Florida.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my dad.
Oh.
Well.
Either way.
Regardless, that is my dad in that picture. I thought it was the one of my grandfather.
Yeah.
Because it's on there. But I don't, aside from whatever the picture is, that is the person who has influenced me for real. Because, he is the one who, the reason I know how to study is because of him. Like I said, the applied knowledge and being able to do it, I'm only able to do it because of him. He would sit with me in the living room and be like, okay, he taught me, it was like a spelling word list. Yeah. And he would be like, all right, this is how you spell cake. He would say, okay, look at it and rehearse it, C-A-K-E, and then look up, rehearse it, C-A-K-E, close your eyes and say it. And I could just, and I remember. Yeah. That's something that I took with me all throughout college. And I think just being a student of life has come from him because he was a student of life as well. And even as we were cleaning up his stuff, looking at all of his books and everything that he had, he was really invested into making himself a better person. So, that is the person that influenced me. My dad, he's a real picture. I guess I thought it was my grandfather, but I guess my grandfather just is on my heart and on my mind.
Yeah, which is all right.
My dad, though, he's been an influence, but he's been an influence in, I wouldn't say the most positive ways in some aspects, not so positive, but in ways that have molded me to be who I am today. A lot of people don't know my dad is an alcoholic. Okay. So that's something that I've also grown up with in my life, dealing with, coping with. And I used to be so ashamed of it because coming from such a Christian background, that's not anything that
they always say the Christians is the worst. That's what I will say.
It's like, that's not what was, and so I used to be ashamed of it. Yeah. But I will say, my dad has loved me. He has even helped he is the most confident person in the world. Yeah. He's funny. He's charming. I believe that I get my qualities from him in that capacity as well. Okay. And so, although my life wasn't perfect and I did grow up in that environment, it has also made me who I am today. as well. And so I'm grateful for it.
One thing I want to speak on is that my mother had 3 different baby fathers, right? So it's 4 of us, but we have 3 different dads, right? But we all grew up with my mom. So we only know each other. We only know our moms. But my siblings know their dad. I want to speak on how pivotal it is to have a father in your life as a woman, because me being a young man and dating multiple women in my life, I understand the role that the male plays, and then if there is a lack of a male, how that plays into a woman's life, whether that be dating intimate relationships or just relationships in general. So speak to that importance, because whether you knew him or not, having your grandfather or not, it affects women in a lot of different ways where you will seek that validation in another man.
I agree with you.
So speak to that a little bit, how important it is and how important it is to love yourself before you seek that in a man.
Yeah.
We talking now. How much time we got?
No, literally. Okay, because 100% fathers are important.
Yes.
Fathers are important. We need our fathers. You know, I think although my upbringing with my father wasn't the best, he was there. And he was there to cheer me on. He was there to, if I was sick, he was taking me to the doctor, and he was making sure I was good. And so I always knew that he loved me. Yeah. I always knew that he was there for me, and I always knew that, you know, he was a little bit crazy, but, you know, he loved me. Yeah. And I think even having that confidence has helped me. And also even with my grandfather as well, the men in my life in general have been positive influences, I will say. And so it is important because, you know, there are a lot of women out there who are looking for validation and other things, maybe because they don't have the best upbringing or whatever the case may be. Yep. I think whatever the circumstance, you know, whether you had your father or not, you just have to, we all really just have to look at ourselves and look at the ways that we can be better. Yes. You know, it is easy to want somebody. It's easy to want to be in a relationship.
Yes,
but, you know, it's more than just that when you are in one, you know. So a lot of it comes from just feeling fulfilled and wanting to feel fulfilled. And a lot of that comes within us and within yourself. You
got to love yourself first. And that's one thing is that I've learned. I always tell Auntie, I'm going to find a woman that cook. God is teaching me you got to learn how to cook first. Ooh, I'm going to find this and the third. I'm going to fall in love, but you got to learn how to love.
Exactly.
Yourself.
We both got to, you have to be the person that you want to be for that person.
Yes, because a lot of people go into relationships hoping that you are that for them, and once you fall short, then it's like, it's the end of my world. And I had this conversation on the episode of BK Juices about how we're seeking, sometimes you might look for somebody to feel something in you that they're just not capable of doing because you have to do it. So I'll turn to the camera and let you guys know, men, love your daughters, but don't stop there. Love the woman that gave you the daughter. Do your job. But anyway, rant over.
Okay, period. You said you done your work. Now you just waiting.
Rant over. What's some things that you would change about the media news? I have that question written down. I was really interested to wonder
what's something I would change?
Yeah.
I don't know. This is like impossible, but it would just be easy if it was like a set path to get there. Yeah. The fact is that in the age that we're in now, you know, you could have 1 million followers, no experience, but because you have a million followers, those are the people that are getting jobs. Whereas, like, you know, you'll go to school, you'll do X, Y, and Z of what they've told you was the way to go, and it's not really.
So what is your thoughts on that? It's just like the whole comedian thing. You could be either an Instagram comedian or you could be a real comedian. So what are your thoughts on that? Where you did the traditional, I went to college for broadcasting and journalism. You're now working in that space where somebody like myself who has an accounting degree and a finance background is now here on a podcast with you. So what is your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on it now is that everyone can do whatever they want to do. Okay. You know, I think initially, a few years back, maybe about like 7 years ago, it would be frustrating for me.
Don't come for her.
No, literally.
Don't come for her. She said 7 years ago. Don't come for
7.
her.
No, but I'm saying that because that is like the evolution that my mind has also gone through as well.
Yeah.
Of just like remembering, okay, just because somebody is here doesn't take anything away from you.
Mm-hmm.
Just because these people are getting things, that has nothing to do even with my own journey.
No, for sure.
So when I really had that elevation of thought, and it was like, we all can be out here winning. We all can be out here doing it together. People, you just gotta work hard. Like everybody was dealt their own cards.
Yeah.
You gotta play the cards that you were dealt. That is such a true statement. Like we can't choose how we were born into this world and the circumstances that we were born into, but we can control how we approach life. We can control the decisions we make based upon what we got. So it's like, you gotta stop spending time being like the woe is me type of person, and just be like, all right, this is what we have. Like, this is how I'm going to approach it, and I'm going to just keep doing what I got to. This is what I have to do. So if I want it, I'm going to have to do it. I'm not about to waste time complaining.
No, for sure. I was going to say, amen to that. I could go into the last question after that then. Typically, we end the podcast with the same question, with 2 questions. What is your favorite chess piece and why? And if you don't play chess, the second question is, you'll look into your camera and imagine that the entire world is watching. Germany, Brazil, everybody in the world, aliens, everything. What would be some advice to save them some heartache and pain in this world? You can give a second to think. The entire world is watching. What would be advice to give them to save some heartache and pain?
Okay, let me think.
Take your time. I can always stitch it in, so take your time. All right.
I'm going to look into this camera.
Yo, look into the one that's in the front.
Okay.
Because that's your camera.
The advice that I'm giving to the world is that your life is already beautiful. The life that you have is the most special thing that you can have, because it is unique to you and you can create whatever you want. It can look like however you want. The way that things grow in earth starts from a seed. You can grow a whole apple tree from a tiny seed. So if you continue to plant your seeds today, you don't know what type of tree could come. You might think that you have a little strawberry bush, but you have a whole dragon fruit tree. I don't even know how dragon fruit grows, but something exotic like that. So keep planting those seeds, because oftentimes you don't know the seed that you're planting, but the seed that you're planting could be something larger than what you ever could have imagined. So continue to plant those seeds and know that your life is beautiful how it is right now.
Thank you, man, for joining me for Conversations Over Chess. I want to personally say thank you. Thank you for everything that you do for Black women. Thank you for what you do for the culture. It means a lot. I have a dog in this race by having sisters who have daughters. So I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. It means a lot.
Well, thank you for having me on this show.
I appreciate it.
This was amazing. It was a vibe. You asked me questions that really helped me get some clarification on even things that are going on in my life right now.
Yes,
because
ma'am.
sometimes life is just, we learn as we go.
Exactly.
So thank you for
Thank you,
having
ma'am.
me.
I appreciate it.
Congratulations on everything.
Thank you.
This podcast is going to be going
It's going to the
viral.
moon. You heard it here first.
Yes, like this is the first of many. We're going to get live shows.
No, that's a fact. We need it. I'm going to hold you to it now.
Okay.
See you guys on the next episode of Conversations Over Chess. Peace.
Bye, guys.
Nothing ever comes to a sleeper but a dream. So I'm woke, try and get that money any means. Used to watch mom sweat them clothes to get them clean. Grew up in the slums, ain't shit that I ain't seen. And it's still free, all the guys till they free. Couple niggas crippin' and the others throwing bees. One thing for sure, they gon' all ride for me. Cause we ain't never phased, no gang family. Damn, what a blessing, all them low nights had me stressing. Praying to the maker, hoping someone get this message. Throw that yak back just to calm down this aggressive. aggression. Cause I can't afford to lose, not when I'm the prize possession. Took a couple L's, but we like to call those lessons. Coming from the burg, I was taught to pay attention. Cause them snakes out hissing and they'll sneak you in a second. For that I keep a circle that be tighter than a virgin. Couple niggas screaming, fuck the law, ready for purging. Tell them let the 40 touch a nigga like it's flirting. A lot of hidden hate, oh, y'all thought y'all was lurking. But ain't no time to lack, nah, I'm always observant. Grew up in the field, but I never played the corner. Still could jam a nigga if I don't like the rowdy running. I've been underground, running around like head tummy. Came from the bottom, I swear I started with nothing. So how can niggas hate? I swear to love it all be fake. Smiling in my face but wanna do me like I'm ace. That's why I say my grace before I put them on a plate. Cause I know I'm too important like a fucking uppercase. And life is like a race, it's just all about the pace. For a little money, dudes become a big disgrace. The fake come and go, but the real can't be replaced. They say the sky's the limit, only limit I embrace. And I'm about $1, no surprise I get the cake. Cause I was taught to hustle in any weather, cannot wait. I done had to starve just to make sure others ate. My pain versus your hurt is something that cannot relate. They try to lock the door, I kicked that bitch like Kevin Gates. Couple roadblocks I ran through like I was freight. Heart of a lion, I was molded by the apes. That's why I stand talking, never fall, ain't no debate. I'm on a mission, I gotta get it. For all them long nights, the oven had to heat the kitchen. For all them starving nights, I went to sleep just to forget it. No food, but the sink was always full of dishes. Check the refrigerator, knowing nothing even in it. Nights like that can turn a young boy into a menace. Same reason I don't give a fuck about no feelings. Cause I'ma be starving till I count 100 million. Part of my back, nigga.